Mine was complicated for me personally because of the loss of my mother at the end of July. So that it's all kind of mixed up together for me. In terms of the congregation, we've live streamed our services from a camera in the congregation for years, but Zoom was new to us with the start of COVID, that we started Zooming services on our individual computers in March. So the question was, how are we going to put together the tech well for high holidays? And luckily, we have really, really talented people in our congregation who do all this stuff for their own, in their own daily lives. So we have incredible sound engineers, and we have incredible IT people and tech people and computer people. And so they all got together and said, hey, we'll help, and they had all of this equipment that they had no problem just bringing in and not necessarily donating, but saying, yeah, you can use it for as long as you need, whatever, and donating hours and hours of their time. And our incredible cantor, Belinda, in my absence, because I was home for weeks and weeks being with my mother and my family, really spearheaded the whole effort and coordinated everything, doing all the research with other rabbis and cantors online of, what's going to be the best program and what's going to be the best camera to get or the best system to bring all of the technology together. We wound up, because as many people know, singing became a deadly weapon. And that was a really tough thing because most congregations, I would say, singing is one of the best parts of the high holidays, the music, the choral pieces, the cantorial pieces. That's what gets your heart. And I've probably said this before, but my mom was a protege of Max Janowski's. And so for me, the Janowski pieces are some of the most precious to me. And to not hear the big Avinu Malkeinu or, Tavo Lefanecha and some of these big pieces was going to be really tragic. And for our choir too, there are certain pieces. Alana Yagoda's Oseh Shalom, we do a version of it slowed down, and that our accompanist did a gorgeous arrangement of, that I believe Alana's aware of. And it's just so gorgeous. And our congregation loves it. We love Taubman's Hashkivenu, and we love, we do Who by Fire, Who by Water by Leonard Cohen. And there's just some key pieces, of course, Kol Nidre, that we can't imagine High Holy Days without. So our choir set out to record one individual track at a time, which people who don't know Zoom may not realize that when you see one of these incredible recordings on Facebook, where there's all the little boxes singing together or all the instruments playing together, that's not happening. They're not playing in unison. Every single box had to record separately, and it's magic. Sound engineering magic to put it all together. And that's what we had. We had every single choir member and accompanist and musician record separately, and then we had wonderful sound engineers put it together. And so it was hours and hours and hours of work. And so they had about 8 pieces that they did, and then the cantor and I and the accompanist were live in the sanctuary for the High Holy Days, and we rolled in a few of these choral pieces eventually. And we had a whole tech team in the sanctuary as well. And so there were about 8 of us in the sanctuary, socially distanced by quite a bit. And we were able to respond spontaneously. I had an iPad on my lectern, and I was monitoring the chat box and able to respond, and all of a sudden, Erev Rosh Hashanah, we're getting, in the chat box, oh my God, RBG passed away. And, and I had to respond to that. That was crazy and sad and tragic. And being able to respond in live time and real time to that was part of why we wanted to do them live and not pre-record services. And just, we wanted, we knew our community, we're a smaller community, we're around 200 families. And so pre-recording felt unnecessarily artificial for us, though I know for plenty of congregations, pre-recording was right for them. For us, it was not the right choice. And in the end, what was hundreds of hours of work of preparation and practice and running things and timing things all paid off. and came together, but it was exhausting. And I know even now into Cheshvan, we're still running on fumes. And I know we still are trying to catch up with energy, but it was worth it. And like you, I pray that we don't have to do it again. It's looking increasingly likely that we might, but I hope we don't have to. We want to be together.
I'm not even ready to open myself to that. I need a few more months, I think.
Don't even talk about it. We won't even talk about it. Okay.
Hush, hush now. So 2 questions, I sort of reflecting as I'm listening to you talk. So what is one new skill that you had to acquire for this high holiday COVID Jewish era? And what is one creative thing that you all did that you want to tell our listeners about?
Ooh, and then you get to answer too, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay. New skill. This isn't strictly a new skill, but I had to multitask in a way I never have had to before for high holy days. And you always have to multitask and pay attention to so many different things on high holy days. You're reading the energy in the room, you're reading your cue sheet, you're keeping an eye on, the communication between you and the cantor and the accompanist, and what's going on over here with the gabbai, or whoever is running the honors and stuff like that, and maybe rest of your clergy team, and you're keeping track of so many different things going on at once. But this year there was also all the technology and making sure everything was coordinated and you weren't being Zoom bombed. There were that many more things that we were keeping track of. And so I was watching also the chat box, and I was making sure that there weren't glitches happening. And my husband, Seth, was watching our Zoom room and letting people in and out and making sure nobody questionable was coming in. And so he was our Zoom moderator, answering questions that people might have had about things. I was just, there were that many more things I was keeping track of and trying to look like I was totally, in charge of what was happening and focused and present. That was what was really exhausting, was to have my brain in 10 places, but look like I was fully present. And so energy was applied differently this year. It wasn't sending out energy to the people who were present. It was weird that it wasn't people absorbing my energy. It was the technology absorbing my energy. And that was very weird. So that was a new skill that I couldn't anticipate until it was happening.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Do you want to answer that one too while we're at?
Yeah, I think I really resonate with that. And I did say to a lot of people afterwards, it's exhausting every year, but this year it was a different kind of exhausting.
Right.
And definitely was doing all that same multitasking that you're talking about. And in addition, we didn't have a digital production team. I essentially became our digital production team with the help of one of our young adults in the community, and had to do a lot of quick learning on iMovie and GarageBand and video editing in a way that I had never had to do before. And I'm far from expert, but I am proudly proficient. I think we ended up with some really great digital media that I'm really proud of, but it was quite a learning curve. And then, yes, all the multitasking in the moment. We sort of share a lot of the Zoom duties, but I'm the fastest multitasker on our team. So I end up being the one who's, singing, Chatzi Kaddish and letting people in from the waiting room and subtly sending a message to our tech person to say, is this happening? What's going on? And muting people and unmuting people and screen sharing and spotlighting and all the stuff. So yeah, so those are the skills. Those are the skills that they did not teach us in rabbinical school, because who knew that this was what we were going to need? Digital editing was the newest of the skills.
Yeah.
And then what about the creative stuff?
What was creative for us isn't necessarily creative for other congregations, but what was fun was we took advantage of the fact that it was a new year and we could do something different. And so we did away with the Yom Kippur afternoon service and decided to do a contemplative service, which I know many congregations have been doing for a long time. It's actually, I have two things. One, and they're both brief. One was, so we did this contemplative service that we called Fetch, Comfort, and Courage. And
Oh.
and so we put together a meditative service that wasn't just healing. It was really just all about breathing and being present. We opened up to have people just kind of fetch and let some feelings out about fear, and tried to encourage other people to just take it in and just let it be, let people just let their feelings out, which works to some extent. We sang and chanted and had nigunim, and that was really nice. And we got incredible feedback about that. And there were a few people who said, does that mean we're never doing Jonah again? And we said, not necessarily, but this was really, really beautiful for people. So it's just something a little different. And maybe we can bring aspects of Jonah back. The other neat thing that we did, because a lot of us felt the need to bring High Holy Days home for people, connect the congregation home, is we made these High Holy Day kind of totes, that where we add swag, and we put all these fun goodies in for people, like honey and Havdalah stuff, and little Jewish Black Lives Matter. I printed something from April Baskin about being Jewish, and a Jew of color on, information on it. So like, it was all kinds of good stuff in the bag, and people took them home when they picked up their hard copy Sidurim, and that was great. Oh, and we had a challah fairy who donated pretzel challahs for everybody in the
Oh
congregation.
my God.
So
Yum.
it was great. Yeah. So what about you?
Pretzel challah.
Pretzel challah. It was so yummy.
Oh, I'm going to be craving that now. It does not exist in Cape Town. Yeah. Somebody bake me a pretzel challah, please. Okay. So the thing that we did that was the most fun, that was the most out of the box for us, and that wasn't technical, and that we were lucky that we were able to do, because our numbers in South Africa, by the time the high holidays came, our numbers were down to a really significant level, and a lot of normalcy sort of had returned. So we were able to do a drive-through shofar event, and basically our rabbinic team got permission to use one of the streets near the big stadium in town. And so it's sort of like an uncongested street. And we lined up along it, at quite a distance from one another, each of us with a shofar. And we had a few lay shofar blowers as well. We were on both sides of the street, staggered, and the people in our community came and they lined up in their cars. There were a ton of cars all the way down the street. And then our executive director sort of waved them through, and they drove through slowly. And as they drove through, we blew shofar, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. And it was so great to see people's faces, not on a screen, through their car windows. It was still bittersweet because we couldn't hug people. We couldn't really chat at all, because blowing the shofars. And but it was so great. It was really great, and it was worth the effort, and it got us all in the mood for the high holidays. It really shifted our energy at the end of Elul in a really important way, and I think it's something we're going to keep doing, even when we're able to all safely gather and hug and all the things that we want to be able to do, just because it was cool. So that was great.